All right, let's take a look at this case. It's from one of our users on the forums, and he's doing his first 4-unit case here. And we can see we actually have a good merge of the wax up scan to the intraoral final impression. So that's awesome. And the intraoral digital impression here looks nice, good margins, good retraction. So that's good. So everything looks good there. We're on to the races here, and we are now marking our margins for our wax up on what we want the system to copy. You will notice the wax up scan here under the pre-op is a little janky. One of the reasons is that the user didn't really know to put the little icon on when you scan bright things, the little sun icon. It's right next to the scanner. Down in the bottom left when you scan, it looks like a little sun. If you click it, it turns orange. You need that when you scan anything that's ultra bright, and that would have made a much better result. In fact, he went back and rescanned it for me, and it was gorgeous. But I had already been working on this, so I'm just going to go with it. I'm remarking these margin lines on the just to avoid any super jank areas, anything that's really into some spikes or infinity spaces, to avoid any kind of weird renderings when you go ahead and start to design restorations. All right, so that's looking good. We have all 4 marked for the appropriate teeth, and now what we're going to do is we're going to go over and check them out in the plan tab just to see how they're ghosted over. And we can see we have like a twisted backwards tooth. That is only due to one reason. That's if you accidentally had clicked the contralateral icon. What it was doing, it was putting the tooth number 10 over in the tooth number 7 position all janked. Easy fix. Unclick the contralateral tab, then remark your margin, and then go to the plan tab again. Just check it out. Make sure that we're all cool with the alignment of that. So see, perfect alignment of the wax up. Wicked important if you are using this based off of an approved temporary. You don't want to really change it too much. All right, rule number 1, if you're doing this, the red tooth should be at the incisal edge of the green tooth. If not, look what happens here. It makes this jagged stump, mushroom looking half tooth. So if you put that red tooth at incisal to the green tooth, it renders it perfectly. That's the only thing I do, just quickly drag the incisal edge, and that's the only thing I worry about. Now, you always have to smooth. The first thing you should do once you get into your initial proposal is smooth. Now, if we had a better pre-op scan, the interproximals would have been better. But they're by smoothing it, you wind up opening them, and this is where new users could kind of struggle. I'm just checking his orientation. It actually looks really good. So we're good to go there. And so now we're just a couple minutes into the design, and I'm further smoothing the interproximals. I don't really love them. I'm going to kind of rebuild them a little bit. So I'm going to kind of smooth them and open them up a little bit, so then I could try to get the emergence that I like. Ghosting over the preoperative to see exactly where that midline is. I want to parallel that identically. That's why if you have any wax ups or if you're scanning temps, the only area that really matters in this whole case is right between the 2 centrals. Nothing else truly matters for aesthetics as much as you think, at least not in my mind. I mean, you could have small asymmetries to the laterals, no problem. It's those centrals, and specifically the mesials of the centrals, that matter the most. And so I don't like flat looking teeth. New users tend to just have butterbean flat looking teeth. I like to really over accentuate my facial embrasures by using the dropper tool and paralleling these lines, making them symmetrical-ish. And you can see I'm building them up using smooth on default power just to kind of melt it away. And I'll redo this over and over again until I get the aesthetic that I want and that I like. I just really like these deep facial embrasures. When you look from this cervical view, you really want this V shape here where the teeth look separate and they roll into one another. They're not perfectly just flat bean looking things. They have curves on the facial there. That facial embrasure is, I think, the single most overlooked space when users are designing and then they're not just used to designing stuff. So, and also the laterals, I like to see some of the mesial surface of the laterals, the mesial and proximal, so I accentuate that mesial lobe there. All right, looking good. So As you could tell, I go a little bit crazy sometimes with the anatomy. I'm using the define feature, and I'm painting in some triangular fossas and some cervical imbrication type grooves. And now it actually will mill this a little bit, but not in that amount of detail. If I was 3D printing this, it would print every little nook and cranny that you wax. I'm just used to doing it super fast, and I'll then use smooth on almost 0 and smooth them out just to get rid of some of the sharpness of those lines there. Knowing that you could overdo it, it's not going to quite mill it. The occlusion goes over that opposing, put it on clear-ish, and then dropper minus. The dropper does go down, guys. Most people don't even know that. And you have to be looking directly down through the teeth. If you're trying to come from the side, it won't do anything. Picking up a little contact there on that lateral. Black or black? Yeah, kind of like black for contacts, occlusion contacts for me. Proximals, I use this Hawaii Oasis green, but I don't know what your mills do. Every mill, actually, I have 10 mills. They're all the same, but every mill is different. They all kind of function different. You guys have different styles of how tight you like your contacts. See, it's really important that you just don't adjust one, because remember, you have the other one. You don't want a concave and then a convex. You want to make sure that you are splitting the difference, and you want the mesials to be flat so that you don't have, you know, these weird proximal contacts. I think that could really mess up the aesthetics. All right, so really now worried about material thickness. I'm going to slice it. I'm going to turn it from the Medusa view, the stone color view, to the blue view by clicking Control-Alt. And now I'm going to be able to slice it normally, because you know that changes how the slice plane. I don't know if you guys know that. From a rotate around, like an implant centric slice, to a dragon slice. But you notice that I also have the wax up overlaid, and that'll create a white line, and I could see the difference. It's very important for my linguals, because if the wax up was in proper occlusion and had proper guidance built in from the laboratory, I don't want to mess with that too much on the lingual. But the facial, I have some freedom. I could manipulate it a little bit to get some thickness in. So I have all these different information sets. I have the occlusion, the wax up, everything that I'm looking at. This one's super important, that little lateral number 10. I'm anticipating some over milling there if I mill in standard mode. So I'm going to show you what that looks like in a minute when I go to the simulation, the mill simulation. Right here. So I'm just going to sim it in standard mode, and look what happens when you cross section it. You see that over milling? That's going to create a weak spot on that facial, might crack. So you mill in detail mode in those instances, and then you have that over milling there on the facial. Good fit, golden, good to go. All right, guys, hope this helps some. Come to one of my Are You Numb Yet courses. We have a couple on anterior, smile design, and all that fun stuff if you want to come play some hands-on time.